I deal with anxiety and lust right now, and that's like the main things that I know I deal with. How can I? Okay, I can't control it.
I can already answer the
How?
question for you. You don't struggle with anxiety and lust. Your old nature struggles with anxiety and lust. You're trying to defeat anxiety and lust by willpower. You have to defeat it from identity. Remember, a bad tree doesn't try to produce bad fruit. It just naturally produces bad fruit. So if you still keep thinking that you're a sinner just trying to break away from sins and get better, it's never going to work. It's like an apple tree trying to produce mangoes. It doesn't matter how hard you try. It doesn't matter how hard you convince yourself that you're breaking away from lust and anxiety. It's never going to work. You have to identify yourself with righteousness. You have to, just like we were born into sin, we don't become sinners when we commit sinful actions. We commit sinful actions because we're sinners. So you're not abnormal for struggling with lust. You're not abnormal for struggling with anxiety. That's your nature. So that's why we're called to be reborn again. Our nature has to be changed. And just like I said, a bad tree doesn't try to produce bad fruit. When our nature changes and you understand that you're perfect and you understand that you're righteous now, once and for all, you now are a good tree. A good tree doesn't try to produce good fruit. It naturally produces good fruit. So you're not going to have to try to fight your lust and try to fight your anxiety. You already are righteous. You already are sanctified. You already are perfect. You are already a person that doesn't struggle with lust and doesn't struggle with those things, because does a righteous person struggle? Does a righteous, perfected person struggle with lust and struggle with anxiety? Does a dead person struggle with lust? Does a dead person struggle with anxiety? No, right? Because remember, Paul says it's no longer I who live, but Christ in me. I'm dead to my old self. So you can't struggle with lust. You can't struggle with anxiety. The real struggle is you're struggling with trusting your old nature that did struggle with lust and did struggle with anxiety. You have to trust your new nature that doesn't struggle with that stuff. You have to trust your new nature that walks in righteousness. You have to trust your new nature that literally has Jesus living inside of you. And when you trust that new nature, that's going to produce good fruits. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have to just trust my new natures.
Yeah, so that's why it's so important to know you're not a sinner and you're righteous and perfect. Not because of what you did, but because of what Jesus did. When you call yourself a sinner, and people do, so many Christians call themselves sinners still, they're putting themselves in a place of what you've been doing. You're trying to cut sins out. You're trying to fix yourself from a place of a sinful nature. You never change the nature. Like I said, an apple tree trying to produce mangoes. It does not matter how hard you try. It doesn't matter how good you do for a certain amount of time. You will always fall back in to your lustful struggles. You will always fall back into your anger. You will always fall back into your anxiety. Why? Because it's your nature. You're going to resort back to your nature always. So when you receive the new nature of righteousness, even though you're still going to be tempted by lust, even though you're still going to be tempted by anxiety, you're going to, oh, my nature's in righteousness, so I'm going to resort to my nature. Just like we would resort to our sinful nature, we're going to resort to our righteous nature now. We have to put off the old man and trust that we're made new, like it says in 2 Corinthians 5:17.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That'll change everything. Remember what I said 20 minutes ago. Stop focusing on the sinful outward actions and focus on the identity. And then the byproduct of that is going to be a fix in the outward actions.